Today we are at one of the most famous traditional markets in Taipei, and that is
南门市场
it's especially popular around Dragon Boat Festival.
端午节
Why? Because 南门市场 has the best collection of
粽子
as the best collection of sticky rice buns in Taipei. So let's go check it out. So here we see some amazing ladies actually making the sticky rice buns right now. So here we see the bamboo leaves. Here they've got the pork, the sticky rice. There's peanuts, there's walnuts, there's all sorts of stuff going on here. So it's going to be really, really delicious after it's steamed. So there are loads of different types of 粽子, and they're cooked in different ways. They've got different things inside, so it's definitely worth trying out. So Anna, can you tell us a little bit about what's here?
北部粽通常都是用蒸的
So this is steamed in the north of Taiwan.
南部粽通常都是用水煮的
So most often this is actually boiled in water. And if you're a vegetarian like me, you have the vegetarian buns as well. And there's loads of different types. There's savory types, there's sweet types, there's 豆沙粽.
豆沙粽
This is a sweet type of sticky rice bun. So we've just left Nanmen Shichang with some
粽子
and now we're going to tell you why we eat sticky rice buns during Dragon Boat Festival. Now, Iona, there's a very, very famous poet that we need to share with everyone. That is?
屈原
Okay, so Qu Yuan was a very loyal member of court at the time when he was living. But, you know, there were these very evil people that kind of stabbed him in the back, so he had to leave. He was banished to kind of provincial China. You know, he got very upset because he really wanted to see changes in China, right?
对
So at the end of the day, what happened?
他投江自尽了
So he committed suicide, you know, he jumped into a river. And what was the reaction that people had at the time?
所以那时候人们就会投一些糯米团子到河里面，怕他的尸体被鱼吃掉。
So, you know, people at the time, in order to commemorate him, they didn't want his body to be eaten by the fish in the river. So they would throw little buns of sticky rice into the river. Now you might be thinking, I don't understand, like, why does it matter what happens to his body? Because in Chinese culture, it's very important that the body is actually buried in the earth. And because he committed suicide in quite a dramatic way, you know, people didn't want his body to be ruined or to be, you know, taken advantage of by the river. So this tradition kind of turned into sticky rice buns. So where did the actual bun, where does the actual bun thing come from? Like, you know, how it's wrapped by leaves?
因为那时后来就慢慢变成是要方便携带之类的嘛，就会用竹叶包起来，然后也是因为竹叶有消暑的作用，因为那时候是夏天很热嘛。
So, you know, Dragon Boat Festival is at the beginning of summer. It's very, very hot. And, you know, people think that bamboo leaves have, you know, a good way to kind of cool you down. And it's also easy for transportation, right? You can actually bring, you know, your rice bun to work and then just peel it open and off you go. So we've just talked about Qu Yuan and, you know, he's the reason that we eat sticky rice bun. But he's actually also the reason that we compete in Dragon Boat Festival. How do we say that in Mandarin?
划龙舟
划龙舟. And why is it? What does it have to do with Qu Yuan?
因为刚刚说了嘛，要找到屈原的尸体，那大家就要赶快去找啊，怕真的被鱼吃掉了嘛，所以越快越好，然后慢慢的就变成一种竞赛了。
Okay, so, you know, initially when he first committed suicide, everyone wanted to find his body to help him, you know, help him to have a proper burial, right? So everyone got on their boats and, you know, everyone was kind of rushing around. And, you know, this kind of evolved into the competition that we see today, the Dragon Boat Festival competition. And also the drums have something to do with Qu Yuan as well, right?
对，也是为了要吓走鱼，因为鱼会怕那个鼓声嘛，就要把鱼吓走。
So, you know, the drums that you hear on the dragon boats is also to scare off the fish. So there you go, there's a lot about Qu Yuan, and we're actually releasing a video on Qu Yuan and his story, so do check that out. So we've only just scratched the surface about different traditions for Dragon Boat Festival. Iona and I actually go into way more detail on ChinesePod.com, so do go check that out.
要一起来看哦。
We hope you have a wonderful Dragon Boat Festival. We hope you see a lot of 龙舟,
还
right?
有吃很多粽子。
吃很多粽子. We'll see you again next time. 再见, bye bye. 大家好，欢迎来到 Mandarin MadeEZ. Today's episode, I'm going to share a little bit more about myself, as a lot of you guys have been asking kind of how I learned Mandarin and what resources I used when I was learning Mandarin. So, without further ado, let's start. So my main connection with Mandarin is, of course, my mother, who is Taiwanese. When I was growing up in a bilingual family, I was only allowed to speak English to my dad, and I could only speak Mandarin to my mom. They wouldn't answer my questions if I spoke to them in the wrong language. And that really helped kind of build this bilingualness into me, and of course my fluency, but I think more importantly, it gave me a very clear sense of kind of my cultural heritage. So yeah, I'm bilingual because my parents only spoke their native language to me. The way you say mixed race in Mandarin is 混血儿, mixed blood child. I'll say it slower. 混血儿. Yes, even if you're an adult, someone can call you a 混血儿. Say it quickly, more at native speed, you would just hear 混血儿, 混血儿. So the last two characters kind of blend together. When I was younger, in 小学 and 幼稚园, so that is primary school and kindergarten, first grade of primary school, I went to an American international school, and that's why I kind of have a bit of an American accent. So as a youngster, when I was in 小学, my family traveled around a lot, and in primary school I studied in Taiwan, different cities in Taiwan, in Scotland, in international schools in Thailand, and then finally by the end I went back to Taiwan. So after I left Taiwan in 一年级, and that is first grade, my mum actually brought along with us in our travels the Mandarin textbooks for primary school children. My auntie works at a primary school, so we were lucky enough to get them. My mum would homeschool me in Mandarin, so I would go through exactly the same as the kids back in Taiwan were. Although yes, it took up a little bit more of my playtime, but it definitely paid off in the long run. So yeah, I was homeschooled whilst I was in Scotland, whilst I was studying in Thailand, and of course later on in primary school, 小学, when I went back to Taiwan, I just followed the curriculum there. Of course, you know, when you're young, going to different schools is always difficult. I was a very shy kid actually, but going to all these different schools made me a more outgoing person. Linguistically, however, it was fine. You know, it's surprising how quickly kids can adapt. Like, of course, the first day I was kind of this foreigner kid, but by day two, you know, I was hanging out with all the kids, and the Mandarin, because of my mum and because that she had made sure that I was up to date with the curriculum, was actually quite an easy transition. So after returning in 四年级, and that is fourth grade, I stayed on until the final year of junior high school. Junior high school in Mandarin is 国中. So when I graduated from junior high school, I then went to the UK. So I had a full 6 years in full Mandarin education, and that has been invaluable, of course, in building a strong foundation in my Mandarin. So going from English to Mandarin as a youngster was actually much easier, but then later on when you're kind of a 15-year-old kid, you've got a good foundation in all the sciences in Mandarin. It was so difficult for me, actually, especially when it came to like chemistry and physics, to kind of relearn all the nouns for all the different terms. So actually it was more switching from Mandarin back to English that took me a bit longer to kind of adapt to. And whilst I was in the UK, you know, I brought along loads of novels to make sure that I kind of kept up with my Mandarin. The one good thing about studying in Taiwanese education is that you have awesome maths. You know, it's like really drilled into you. So by the time I went to do like my GCSEs in the UK, I was like, I could do this with my eyes closed. Not because I'm like particularly good at maths, just because it's really drilled into you in Asian education. So I came back to Taiwan after I finished university in Scotland. And coming back as a young adult, I realized that my Mandarin kind of had to elevate to a different level. You know, because I left when I was 15, and a lot of my formal Mandarin I kind of had to really pick up again. But with a lot of things, it's just like riding a bike. Like initially going into the workplace, I was kind of like, you know. But actually after a couple of months, you get used to the language, same as in English, right? When you first go to work, you know, you don't know all the formalities of maybe how to really structure an awesome work email, but you just kind of copy other people. You know, I kind of read other people's emails, kind of imitated that tone and that language. I do just pick it up. Good question, and I think this is the same across a lot of native speaking adults. Their typing, of course, is way better than their written. Even if we're ordering lunch or dinner or whatever amongst my friends, everyone's like, oh, 这个怎么写? People often forget characters because we're typing so often these days that like handwritten script, it's difficult sometimes, and having not really used it for so long, I must say I have to sometimes quickly type it on the phone and go, that's how I write it. So native speakers are very similar to people that pick up Mandarin as a second language. If you don't use it, you forget it. And it's interesting, actually, I was speaking to a couple of expats in a bar in Taiwan, and they were saying, isn't it funny that a Mandarin teenager, so someone that's 18 years old, is really at the peak of their knowledge of Mandarin, because you're all the way through the 12 years of school, you're like drilled to learn new characters every week, and you're really at the peak. And then once you go to work and you don't use these characters, you gradually forget them, actually. So it's important to make sure that you like really practice writing, even just a little bit every day, just to make sure you keep that up. So 成语 translated means idiom or expressions. However, Mandarin is a super idiomatic language. So whilst we use idioms in English, it's not to the same level, and it's not to the same kind of feeling as you do in Mandarin. How do you learn it? Well, actually, I think a good way for people learning Mandarin as a second language is to simply pick up a textbook aimed for people in 小学, people in primary school. That way you kind of get like a summary of, let's say, the top 100 成语in the Mandarin language. They're fun to learn because people use them all the time in day-to-day conversation. Trust me, once you know one, you'll hear it everywhere. And secondly, you just get a really cool like stories and cultural insights, as well as kind of more of a knowledge of Chinese history. So as a native speaker, I guess the way I practice Mandarin, maybe not so differently to you, is that it is about daily practice. So at the moment, I'm really into kind of improving my calligraphy, so how I write my characters and whether my characters are beautiful or not. So I kind of have this little book where it shows you how to write things properly and beautifully in the right proportions. So I kind of do that on my little notebook every day. Actually, I watch more Asian TV now that I'm back here than I did when I was in the UK. I'm addicted to period dramas. So at the moment, I'm really into this Chinese period drama called 甄嬛传. You guys can check it out. It's quite advanced. You have to be quite advanced to kind of understand it. But yes, I try to imitate the ladies in the show and make myself sound more smart. Yes, I don't know why this is related to Mandarin learning, but I love House of Cards. Like, I'm a big House of Cards fan at the moment. So as a native speaker, same as a native speaker in English, the more words you pick up, the more eloquent you sound, and that's what I'm trying to do with my Mandarin on a daily basis as well. I'm trying to pick up new vocabulary. Rather than making myself sound smarter, it's about expressing myself better. So for those of you guys that are listening out there that are intermediate, upper intermediate, maybe even advanced, I think it's quite good to kind of follow what native speakers do, what you would do in your own language, right? You read more, you watch more, you listen to more conversations, and that's how you pick up kind of the more specific vocabulary in that language. Okay guys, I hope that was helpful. Hopefully by showing you what my experiences were of learning Mandarin and what I do now, even as a native speaker, will help you kind of maybe figure out what you want to do and how to improve your Mandarin. If you have any questions for me, please pop them in the comments below or ask me on the Facebook page. I'll see you guys soon. 再见. Mandarin MadeEZ. Today is a very special episode, and it is about 渐动人, 2 fourth tones and a second tone. And that is the colloquial term for people who suffer from ALS. And yes, you can guess, it is the ice bucket challenge, the 冰桶挑战. Before I get ice poured on my head, I'd like to talk a little bit about the disease and the impact that your money, the money that you have donated, will make. So this is a very personal cause because my mom actually passed away of ALS 2 years ago. Reaching out to an association like the Taiwanese ALS Association gave us really handy tips on how to look after my mom, financial advice, what to do when a disease, it's a devastating terminal illness. So, so Your donations will really go a long way, hopefully to finding an effective treatment for the disease, but most importantly, I think your donations are going to help really improve the quality of life of those who suffer from ALS as well as their families. So without further ado, I'd like to thank those who have nominated me, and that's Gary, Christine, and those folks over at Skills Language Academy. Okay, so this is to those who have suffered, to those that are suffering, and to those that will suffer. My love goes out to you. Okay, so I'm I'm nominating Baijie from Crazy Fresh Chinese, Peggy Teaches Chinese, as well as Sean from ChinesePod. On my personal friend list, I'm nominating Charlie Lemeg, 陈一平，你不要有时候我都在说中文就没有点到你。And finally, those of you that follow Mandarin MadeEZ, I'm tagging you. That was really cool. Yeah. 大家好，欢迎来到 Mandarin MadeEZ。你们今天好吗？ Today we're going to be talking about something I'm really excited about. 我很兴奋，即将要开始的。Do you want to guess what it is first? Dum 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 dum. So excited, 好兴奋，等不及了 I can't wait， 等不及了。权力游戏 is Mandarin for Game of Thrones. 权力 being power or authority, 游戏 meaning game. So 权力游戏即将开始 is about to start. So I'm so excited, 很兴奋。你们兴奋吗？你们喜欢看书还是看电影呢？ Do you guys like to read the books or do you guys like to watch the film? Right? This again is something very useful that you could ask someone. 你们喜欢看书还是喜欢看电影呢？我两个都喜欢 right? I like them both. 但是我还是喜欢看书 I still prefer to read the books. So what is Game of Thrones? 权力游戏是一个中古世纪的奇幻故事。中古世纪 being medieval and 奇幻 being fantasy. So you can ask people, you can ask someone and say, 你喜欢看奇幻电影吗？ Do you like fantasy films? Right. For me, it's 当然，I love, right? 我爱死奇幻电影了。Okay. What TV series do you like? 你们喜欢看什么样的电视影集呢？你们是什么电视影集的粉丝呢？粉丝 is fan. 你们是什么电视影集的粉丝呢？ Are you a super fan of something? 你是一个超级粉丝吗？我是权力游戏的超级粉丝。You may be speaking to someone and you're talking about what season they're on, right? What episode are you on? So let's learn the word for season in Mandarin, and that is 季. 季. So at the moment, I'm looking forward to the 4th season of Game of Thrones. So do you remember what 4 is? So 第四季. Right, by adding a 第 in front of the number, you make it an ordinal. So 第四季. 我很期待《权力游戏》第4季上映。上映 is to air, right, or to be put on screen. So you can say a film 即将上映, right? 这个电视影集即将上映。Now that you've learned how to say season, so season 3 is 第3季. How about season 2? 第2季. Very good. I'm sure you might want to ask someone, what episode are you on, right? What episode are you on right now? And that is 第几集. I know there's a lot of G's there. Okay, so 第几集. G is the word for episode. So I could be on, let's say, season 3, episode 12, and that is 第4季第12集. Also, a lot of people are talking about, right, have you caught up on the show, right? In Mandarin, we have a very similar expression. We just use the verb 追, and that is to catch, right? So it's the same as English. Have you caught up, right? You can say 对，我现在追到第4集, right? I've caught up until the 4th episode, right? 你追到第几集了呢? Right? What episode have you caught up unto? When you use 呢, you're kind of like an and you, right? Where are you caught up until? So you can say 我喜欢权力游戏，你呢？我喜欢奇幻电影，你呢？ So let's just do a bit of a recap. So I'm so excited, right? 我很兴奋，也很期待。期待 is to look forward to, right? 我好期待第4季 Season 4第4季的权力游戏 Season 4 of Game of Thrones。我等不及 I can't wait。我等不及看第4季的第1集。I can't wait to see the first episode of Season 4, right? 等不及了。Just standard Saturday in Taiwan.
Hold on.
第4季的第1集 Remember, 季 is season, 集 is episode. 我很喜欢权力游戏，你呢？ I really like Game of Thrones. How about you? 我很喜欢奇幻的电视影集，你呢？ I really like fantasy TV shows. How about you? Let's look at the word 粉丝. This is fan, right? 我是权力游戏的粉丝，你呢？ Are you guys fans of Game of Thrones? 你是什么电视影集的粉丝呢？ What TV shows are you a fan of? Let me know in the comments below. So for you Game of Thrones fanboys out there, I've got some key quotes for you in Mandarin. Okay, so first of all, winter is coming, my favorite quote. My favorite are how stark, how stark. Okay, and you could say 冬天要来了, but that sounds less cool than 凛冬将至. 凛冬将至, winter is coming. Okay, so Lannisters, what they would say is 有仇必报, 有债必还. A Lannister always pays his debts. And then also my favorite character of all, right? Dany Targaryen. And she would say,
Mother of dragons.
我是龙之母. 我是龙之母. I am the mother of dragons. And also, just FYI, how to say Hodor in Mandarin is just
Hold on.
Hodor. So who are you rooting for? Also let me know in the comments below, right? How stark, how stark. No spoilers, by the way. I'm still reading book 4 at the moment. So, bye. See you guys. 加油. Dum, dum, da, da, dum, dum, dum. So excited. Hi guys, welcome to Mandarin MadeEZ. Today we're going to continue on with our transportation lessons and we're going to talk about how to get a taxi in Taiwan. If you want to see the previous lesson on transport, please click over here and let's continue with our lesson. While we have really good public transport in Taiwan, taxis are actually relatively cheap. So if you're in a rush or you need to get to a specific place, it's a good way to go. So first, let's revise. How do you say taxi? 计程车. Very good. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to act out a dialogue between a taxi driver and yourself, hopefully. So don't worry if it sounds like it's going really quickly, just try and listen, and then what we'll do afterwards is we'll discuss some of the key vocabulary together, okay? So don't worry, just listen and enjoy. Sorry, it's a bit weird, okay? Hello, 请问你要到哪里? 我要到台北101。请问有习惯的路线吗？哦，没有，都可以，看你就好了。好，小姐没问题，记得要系安全带哦。哦，好，谢谢，一定会的。哦，司机先生，我们快到了。这里吗？不是，是下一条路，再一直走就到了。请问这样子多少钱？190，小姐，这样子190，给你200。这边有10块找你，不用找了，不用找了，谢谢。 Okay guys, so now let's look at some of the vocabulary that you just heard. So the first thing the taxi driver said is 请问你要到哪里?请问你要到哪里? Excuse me, right? Please, may I ask, where would you like to go? So you could reply 我要到 right? 我要到 Often if you're getting a taxi in Taipei, there's several ways you can get to a particular location. So sometimes taxis will actually ask you, would you prefer route A or would you prefer route B? Or they would just ask, do you have a preferred route? And that's what you just heard. 请问您有习惯的路线吗?请问您有习惯的路线吗? Actually, most of the time when I'm asked this question, I just leave it to the taxi driver, unless you have a particular preference. So the easy response when you hear this seemingly quite complex sentence is just to say, 没关系,都可以. Okay, 都可以. So 都可以 is anything's alright, right? It's kind of a polite way to say whatever. So, he asks, 请问您有习惯的路线吗? And then you can say, 都可以. Anything's okay. So 都可以 is actually a really high use word in Mandarin. You can use it in a variety of situations. For example, if someone asks you, 你要喝奶茶还是要喝红茶? Would you like black tea or would you like milk tea? You can say 都可以. So it's kind of like anything, like either will do. So before you set off, the taxi driver will hopefully remind you to fasten your seatbelt. Seatbelt in Mandarin is 安全带. 安全带. The safety belt. Just for your interest, actually the word for helmet is 安全帽. 安全帽. The safety hat, right? So if you're actually getting on a scooter soon, you should remember to put on your 安全帽. And if you're in a car, put on your 安全带. If you're wondering what to call your taxi driver, what you can say, and this is quite polite, is 司机先生. This literally means Mr. Driver. It's actually quite a polite way. So you can use 司机先生. 司机 is the driver, and 先生 is Mr. 司机先生. As you're approaching your destination or your hotel, you can say 司机先生,我们快到了. 我们快到了. 快到了 is nearly there, right? You're nearly there. So 司机先生,我们快到了. He'll probably ask you, 这里吗?这里吗? Here question, right? Here question. Is it here? And if it's not, you can say 不是,下一条路. 下一条路. 下 being next, 一条路 being road, right? 下一条路. If you want the taxi driver to go further forward, if you want to say go forward, in Mandarin it is 一直走. 一直走. Good. Now, if you want him to turn right, wait, is the screen right? Or if you would like a taxi driver to turn right, you can say 右转. 右转. If you would like the taxi driver to turn left, you could say 左转. 左转. 右转. 左转. 左转. 右转. 左转. In Taiwan, taxis usually run on a meter, so when it's time to pay, you'll know how much to pay. But the 司机先生 will usually tell it to you too. In our dialogue, the price was 190块. 190块, 190 NT. In Taiwan, there's not usually a culture of tipping taxi drivers. The 司机先生 will usually give you back all the change. If you're feeling generous and you want to say keep the change, you can just say 不用找了. 不用找了. 不用 is no need. 找了 is to give me the change, right? So 不用找了. On the topic of change, I would just like to give you the vocabulary for change in Mandarin. So that's 零钱. 零钱. Now that we've discussed the dialogue a little bit more and the vocabulary in more detail, I really encourage you to go back and listen to the dialogue one more time. You'll see how much more you can understand. And again, practice. Feel free to pause, say the line, and then watch me do it once more time. Okay, it's all about practice, guys. If you have any questions with today's topic, feel free to comment below or go on MandarinMadeEZ.com or our Facebook website. Start a discussion with your Mandarin MadeEZ pals. 再见. Hello, 请问你要到哪里? 你好，请问你要到哪里去？哦，我要到台北101。哦，是吗？那你有习惯的路线吗？哦